What up, Skylocks? Short answer, yes. Short answer, yes. This is a deep, I'm gonna do a deep dive into this because this is a great topic. But let me kind of explain. We were talking about spiritual bypassing and premature transcendence. And the question was, does that mean I'll keep repeating it until finally understood? Right? And there's different levels of understood. And when I say different levels, different definitions of understood, right? You can understand in the way of awareness, but awareness is just the first part. With, Without the action combined with the awareness, yeah, you're gonna be in that loop. Okay, so yes, it can repeat, but not necessarily because the universe, God, the world, spirit, not because it's sending you the same exact lesson over and over. More often than not, right? It's the unprocessed pattern that keeps recreating similar outcomes. Only because the underlying belief, the underlying wound, the underlying behavior, the underlying boundary, or the response has not changed. I know that's a mouthful. Let me see if I could kind of break it down within this video right here. So when you spiritually bypass something, right, you understand it intellectually or spiritually without actually changing that part of you that you participated in, right? So a lot of people will be like, and I'm not saying to you, Skylocks, but just generally speaking, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I released it. I released it. They do a release ceremony or they release it however. But they never process the anger, right? They say, I forgave them, but they never strengthened the boundary, right? I could forgive you, but what did I do after I forgive you? Did you strengthen the boundary so that way you ain't gonna hurt me the same way like you did before, right? You'll say, I learned the lesson. Some people like, I learned the lesson, but you keep choosing the same types of relationships, right? How many times we talk about we've learned the lesson and yet we find ourselves in something similar, if not the same, right? It don't even have to just be romantic relationships, but let's just go there, right? A lot of us, we got to type subconsciously and consciously. And we learned the lesson from this type of relationship, and then we end up with another relationship, different person, different face, but same frequency. Come on, somebody, right? A lot of times we'll be like, I'm giving it to the Most High. I done gave it to the Most High, right? But you never took practical steps of your own that belong to you. You gave it to the Most High, but there's things that you got to do, right? Things you got to do. So the life changes the characters, right? Life changes characters, right? Sorry about the AC. Your life may change environments. Your life circumstances may even change. But the underlying patterns remain the same, right? And I said this earlier. Different person, same dynamics. Different job, right? Same exhaustion. You done change jobs and they just still using you at a different job, right? Having you stay without paying you. Then when you ask about pay, it's a problem, right? You need a day off. You want to use your sick time. It's a problem. You got to use a PTO day. It's a problem, right? Everybody else doing something, but when you do it, it's a problem, right? Different friendships. You change friends, but you still abandoning yourself because you people pleasing and you giving everything to that friend, and you not getting no type of reciprocation, right? Self-abandonment. That's a whole nother thing, right? Arguments, right? You're like, dang, I hate argument, but I always find myself in arguments because you got the same trigger, right? Never healed that trigger. That trigger still that trigger still unhealed. That joint soft. It's pussing. Your trigger pussing. You ever encounter somebody with a pussing trigger, right? And I call it pussing. Like, think about a wound that's infected, right? And it starts to pus. And anything around it, you could feel it, right? Some people triggers is pussing. I need to talk about that. The pussing trigger. You know what I mean? You might, I was talking to somebody while I was on a live the other day, and I'm not trying to put nobody's business out there, but, there's like, listen, There was an opportunity that came and I didn't take it because I was scared. And I'm kind of mad at myself for that. I'm like, okay, don't be mad at yourself, right? Just take this experience because you're supposed to experience what it felt like with fear. And now when that feeling of fear comes again for another opportunity that's similar, if not the same, right? Okay, you know which direction to go and how it would feel. So some people will have a different opportunity, but still struggle with the same fear. Come on, somebody. You ever had a different opportunity and struggle with the same fear? Right? So that makes it feel like, or makes you feel like, dang, why does this keep happening to me? You ever asked that? Right? And Skylarks, I'm not talking directly to you, I'm just talking general. You ever asked, why is this happening to me? We all have. I know I've asked that. You know what I mean? I try not to ask it often because I'm always looking for the lesson or looking for what I need to do. But anyway, get off of me real quick. Why does this keep happening to me? Right? But the deeper question, right? If you're looking for understanding, somebody say understanding, right? Would be, what within me keeps participating in the version of this cycle, this loop, this particular wound, this trigger, this particular thing? What inside me, within me? What about me, right? And that's funny because I always tell my kids that, I had this one, I have a child. They're not a child, but they child, one of my kids, you know. We might be talking about somebody's achievement, and then she'll be like, well, I did this, and I'm like, what about me, right? What about me? And, I used to always say that because sometimes it's not about you, but in this case, it is about you. So instead of saying, why does this keep happening to me? I would ask or encourage one to ask, what within me keeps participating in the version of this that I'm going through? Come on, somebody. What within me keeps participating in the version of this relationship cycle, right? In this dynamic of exhaustion at the job, right? And listen, I'm not talking about A-B relationships, toxic A-B relationships, people getting physically harmed. This does not count with that. Let me be very clear, okay? I don't believe that the Most High is going to keep sending you to get physically harmed to learn a lesson, okay? So I'm not talking about that. That's a whole nother topic, and that's case by case. I can't generalize that, okay? So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with this. What within me keeps participating in the version of what I'm going through? I know this was an 8-minute long video. I like doing long videos, but a lot of people don't. But this was specifically for you, Skylocks. I appreciate this topic, and I want to do more because I have a whole lot more on this because this is so interesting, and a lot of us are going through this, right? And I think I'm gonna just give you one sneak peek after this one. Like, premature transcendence can create the same problem, right? That's a whole nother one. I might just start the next video on that, right? We talked about premature transcendence. That means transcending or going above the problem, but you ain't even ready. Okay, perfect example. When you got the teenagers, I can't wait to move out the house. I can't wait till I'm 18. I'm an adult, right? Then when you're behind turn 18, 19, and it's time to get out, you ain't even prepared, boy. You don't even know what a double deposit is. You're going to learn tonight, right? You're going to need a deposit for lights, water, security, right? Security deposit. Life going to hit you. You dig what I'm saying? And that's a type of premature transcendence. You may have reached adulthood, but you're not an adult. Come on, somebody, right? So I'll continue premature transcendence on another video. Appreciate you, Skylocks. Peace.